So, this is our first show match. I think experimenting with kind of a new thing here. Yeah, whether in the classic Hearthstone Discord, I put this out in my own as well. Anyone who's interested in doing a show match with any kind of format, you know, classic Hearthstone or classic adjacent, you know, maybe some of the older formats, something like that. Just let me know. Let anyone else, yeah, I guess any of the admins of the classic Hearthstone know. We'll try to work out a time to get that all going. So, let's see if I can get the decks going here. Opposition, do you want to, we got opposition and derp here. Do you want to talk about the format here?
Yeah, so each player brings 6 decks, no bans, and in order to win the match, you have to win with each deck twice. Now, there is a stipulation there where if you are playing with a certain, if you play through and win with one deck, you have to win with the rest of your decks before you can start over and win a second time with them. So it means that anybody that has to, everybody has to win with every single deck. And if you have one weak deck in your lineup, it can be kind of difficult because you might just get pwned by a whole bunch of other decks. So we'll hope that everybody brought consistent decks here today.
So what are your thoughts on this matchup specifically? The aggro warrior versus this taunt heavy, I guess you call this a mid-range hunter from Labore. Seems to be a pretty interesting matchup. I'm excited to see how this goes.
It's an interesting choice from Labore. I don't think he's played much Control Hunter. This was the last deck that he submitted. So we'll see how it goes for him. I think it's going to be tricky for the Hunter if they don't find their taunts. And we see an Arcanite Reaper with Greenskin, Heroic Strike, Arcane Golem, and there's a lot of damage here.
Yeah, am I crazy?
Use a lot of damage to kill this, though.
I don't see this Hunter in Labore's lineup.
Yeah, let me make sure I got the deck code in there.
Not a huge deal, if not. I'm also somewhat assuming that this is the warrior, since there's 2 warriors here that Para's got with a lot of similar cards.
Yeah, this would be Labore's deck number 6.
Huh.
Players can pick decks in any order in which they prefer.
There we go.
Yeah. Alright, well, Para closing it out pretty quick there with the Aggro Warrior. We saw him have a lot of success with that in the NA tournament as well, reaching the finals. And I think it's an underrated deck. It can sometimes win the race with Mortal Strike there because your opponent that's playing aggro doesn't especially want to go face if they know that they're within Mortal Strike range. So it gives you a couple extra outs, a couple of very powerful free cards like Dread Corsair, or good 2-for-1s like Arathi Weaponsmith. Para taking it down pretty quick against the Control Hunter there.
Yeah.
I do think Aggro Warrior it's really good into other aggro decks for sure. And obviously you saw what happened in that game. You just drew a bunch of weapons. Those all provide so much damage to the face or to minions. It's very, very good value. Warrior weapons are very strong.
Being able to 2-for-1 with your face in an aggro matchup is kind of a double-edged sword, but if you are able to 2-for-1 on the board with Warrior and get low and use your hero power, then you can win a race. So, Rogue, if they're going all in, they're going to take a lot of face damage with their weapon, and they might just lose a race because of it. But Warrior, not so much because of their hero power.
Well, we are seeing the Control Warrior now, it looks like, from Labore.
Now there is an agreement that because Para brought 3 different warriors, that he'll have to declare which warrior deck he's playing, just so that it's fair for both players. So there will be no mysteries in the mulligans here either. Now, typically this is a rogue favored matchup.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a very rogue favored matchup.
Yeah. But only 1 sap. So 2 Drakes, 1 sap. That can be kind of a problem against a really taunt-heavy deck if they just manage to stick their taunts and force the inefficient removal out of the rogue player. But there we see Gadget's in hand, so this feels comfortable now.
And at least the warrior is running a Tink Master, it looks like. So, still some way of dealing with that Gadget's if he's able to get into it.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how aggressively Labore is going to draw through his deck with these shield blocks. A lot of times you want to, efficiently use your hero power as the control warrior, kind of gain a lead in armor. But in this case, if you know that your opponent is holding on to Gadget's you may be thinking, well, I kind of want to cycle with these shield blocks. It's more important to find Tink Master or some form of removal from that Gadget's
Right.
Yeah, I think shield block coin hero power is a pretty reasonable play here, if we're looking at the play. And there's a way to kill Gadget's potentially.
Well, he does have an Armor Smith on the board, which always wins the brawl.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. Well, Para picking up the conceal here, he's got to be happy about that. Being able to Gadget's conceal on 6. Although with some minions on the board, it can make it tricky. As you mentioned, the Armor Smith will always win the brawl, so got to be a little careful.
He wants to keep his Armor Smith alive because Gadget's Conceal could potentially be coming next turn, and he wants to have a way to win the brawl. So he's going to do a little bit of a weird remove here. Oh, never mind.
Oh, interesting.
Acolyte.
Yeah, it did
this
look
is
like
okay
he
too.
considered that execute a bit.
I was going to say he could actually remove it with the backstab. If you wanted to Gadget's backstab Conceal, he could hit the Acolyte with the weapon.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that play. Maybe he's thinking, seeing Tink Master in his opponent's list is a little scary. And, you can always wait with the Gadget's also. You draw through your deck in, 2 turns rather than 3 this way. And sometimes you pick up a second Gadget's it's a little good insurance. Sap is a good card, but without a prep.
Yeah, I
Guess
think
we
you
get-
just double backstab here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So finding a way, this is good. Got a prep in hand. Probably good to prep the Eviscerate here. You want to draw into that second Gadget's in case of any Tink Master or anything like that. There we go. We're all set up.
Yeah,
There
right
it
on
is.
time.
Yeah, 13 cards in deck. Really
Now
looking
as the
for a
warrior,
second
you almost
conceal.
feel like you have to brawl. Looks like he's not going to go for it though.
Yeah.
Got the Armor Smith for next turn though. If he wants to commit, he can Armor Smith and Taskmaster to have a, in theory, 66% chance. Which, as we know, one of the minions is Armor Smith, so it's actually 100% chance.
Yeah. Alright, get the sap first. Now that's a little bit of an interesting choice, just knowing that there's it's a control warrior, there's some taunt, pretty much a lot of good sap targets. Armor Smith, obviously a card that can combo quite well. But yeah, drawn a lot of cards here. I've seen rogues do this before.
I've seen this one.
Yeah.
Well, brawl
Yeah.
basically is out now.
Yeah.
Alright, was our math correct?
I would say you don't have too many options here other than just play the Taskmaster and go for the Brawl or Armor Smith.
You can play both with coin.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's what you do. Oh. No, I guess just trusting in the armor smith.
Alright.
I don't like it, but we'll see if it works.
Jesus.
As I was saying, I think it's a great play.
Yeah, you called it, Drew. You know, it is just crazy. It goes to show, you know, like you said at the start of this, a tough matchup for the warrior. To think that you just killed, you know, 2 of Miracle Rogue's strongest minions, 2 things with 12 attack for 5 mana, and you're here going, boy, I think I'm dead next turn.
With RNGesus on your side, nothing is impossible. I almost like the Taskmaster here first. Just, you know, you're basically just trying to survive as the warrior. You got plenty of finishers in hand. I kind of like playing Taskmaster, Whirlwind, maybe even I think that's Ascension in hand. Just as much armor as you can possibly get, and then toss in and execute at the end.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely playing the Ascension. I don't know if you play it before Whirlwind, though. I think you want to keep health on it, even though it doesn't really matter in this case, because he's got a 5 attack weapon.
Yeah,
Maybe it's incorrect, but...
you know that Flurry's probably coming, even though we can see Flurry in the hand.
Surprised he didn't play the Blood Mage.
This guy's toast.
To be honest, just gave 1 more damage on the Flurry.
Yeah.
Because he can SI whenever.
Yeah.
He's not going to get that 1 damage from
Well,
the spell damage Flurry back.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Thalnos, I think, essentially a dead card now. I suppose you can use it to buff the Eviscerate, but that's the last Eviscerate left. Okay, it's going to be Senjin instead of Rag. Not taking any chances here.
I believe he is still dead, though.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, I think Dex knows his name. What's this guy's name?
Boy, I might have seen him once or twice. This Leonard fellow.
Yeah.
LeBron James or something like that.
LeBron James, yeah, something like. Yeah, isn't this that new Fortnite character?
Yeah. You just gotta play on mobile and you get them. Alright, well, not a huge surprise. Even an Armor Smith winning a brawl against a 12-12 at 12 or Auctioneer can just stop.
Yeah, Miracle just has too much damage. Control Warrior, you have to get very lucky, I think, because even if you're able to remove big threats, like if the rogue draws all their cards, then it's just not enough usually.
No, I still feel like, you know, that last play there, playing the Senjin without the Whirlwind on it and not playing the Execute on the Drake, instead opting for the Hero Power, I think that might have been a mistake, because you gain more armor and you keep your Armor Smith alive. So if Flurry comes through, you're gaining armor, and if they whack the Senjin, at least you have 1 more extra HP. So I think I would have preferred to have seen the full Whirlwind on all the minions, getting that Armor Smith value and keeping a taunt up with an Armor Smith in front. But who knows if it would have even made a difference, puts a Senjin within Eviscerate range, and that may still be lethal.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. A few ways that you could clean it up, but yeah, it's really, really difficult to win. Well, and especially if they end up getting, that first auctioneer at least on time. Second one arrives after drawing like half your deck. It just there really isn't a lot of scripts where that turns back in favor of the warrior.
So that's 2-0 Para, right?
Yeah, 2-0 Para. Still plenty of games to go, but well, this is what this format lets us see a bit more of, some some bizarre matchups, and I think as well the fact that this isn't a full-blown tournament, you know, people are maybe a little more willing to experiment, just kind of have some fun. So we're seeing Paladin, something that's very underrepresented, at least outside of Aggro Paladin in our tournaments. And Freeze Mage, which is, yeah, it makes an appearance, but isn't exactly a staple in everyone's lineup.
Yeah, I think Freeze Mage gains a lot of traction when you play it in a tournament setting. The ability to ban out Warrior is absolutely huge. You know, they have other tough matchups like Combo Druid, but on the whole, Freeze Mage, you know, tends to do better against the field when they just don't automatically lose any game to a Warrior that's farming, you know, Zubats. And Para, a very strong Freeze Mage player as well, got a lot of experience on this deck.
Yeah, I believe he's running a Vaporize as well, which is something we've seen a lot of more high-level Freeze Mage players. It's just because it makes the deck even better against Rogue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very difficult to punch through a Vaporize, and you're also just scared as the Rogue player as well. When you see a Vaporize, is you're not sure if it's an Ice Barrier, you're just having to spend 2 mana to weapon up maybe to figure it out. But you're going into Paladin. I feel like this is a pretty favored matchup for the Freeze Mage, and Labore seems to agree. He's playing his Pyromancer out on the board right away, just trying to get something to stick, get a little bit of damage in there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with this matchup, it hinges on the Paladin's ability to heal, right? Freeze Mage loves to drop Alex and then pump a lot of damage afterwards, and Paladin lacks the ability to burst their opponent down. So that often allows him to heal back up, get right into the late game, try to grind it out. But there isn't a lot of heal in this Paladin deck. I don't see a Lay on Hands, 1 copy of Guardian of Kings, and no, what is it, Holy Light, the 2 mana heal?
Yeah, no Holy Light.
That
We
sounds
do have
right.
We do have 2 True Silvers, but that isn't necessarily gonna. The second one is buried in this Paladin deck. Doesn't have an incredible amount of draw. In fact, it has no draw in it. So relying on that hero power a lot, the kind of deck that wears down a Warrior.
You'd be hard pressed to find very many Paladins that aren't running 2 True Silvers. Very good card.
Yeah, excellent
Turns
card.
out.
Hey, Par getting a nice, clean, efficient removal there with the Doomsayer, not having to Frost Nova anything.
A bit awkward for Bar. He's got a full hand and doesn't really want to use any of these cards.
No.
Just gonna have to, like, you toss a Blizzard here?
I'm guessing Arcane Intellect.
Well, if
Maybe.
he Arcane Intellects, he overdraws.
Yeah, you'd have to coin Arcane Intellect. No, he's just gonna bring the Blizzard, you're right.
Yeah, he doesn't want to use coin because he has Arcane and
Yeah. Alright, are we gonna see Ragnaros come down? Now, this is a card that's tough for Freeze Mage to deal with in general.
nope, the Avenging Wrath coming. Probably gonna pop a block.
Yeah.
Oof.
Now, there is a single poly in this deck. And there it is.
Yeah, real nice timing here. But you're right that this Avenging Wrath's still enough to, I'll take out Thalnos, proc on 1 health.
Yeah, then he can summon the dude. So he has to deal with that, or he gets the second ice block popped.
Yeah.
Incredible.
By the Holy Light.
He's actually gonna redemption the dude, so it. That's
Yeah,
funny.
it's a real threat.
Yeah, I suppose that if you don't have a Divine Shield minion in hand, everything's going to pop back with 1 health, and all you need is 1 damage anyway.
You might be forced to use like a. I actually think you might fireball this instead of frostbolting it, as silly as that sounds.
Yeah.
But you could have done the Archmage Frostbolt Ice Lance next turn. That was basically my reasoning.
Actually, like that the value of Fireball is diminished here. You're already drawing. You're already getting a couple of them with Archmage, Coin, Frostbolt, Ice Lance.
I think what he's thinking is that he's probably going to have to use this Alexstrasza defensively. So because of that, he wants to keep the higher damage burn spell in his hand.
Sure. Yeah, there's another Frostbolt in the deck. I suppose might feel kind of scary now, but and this again actually is pretty awkward because you can't play Alex and Hero Power to ping off this 1/1, and you really want to just play Vaporize here.
Yeah, I think that's what he's gonna do.
Yeah, yeah. Now True Silver would be excellent here.
Yeah, the Paladin Hero Power is actually quite annoying here. Basically forces Freeze Mage to ping every turn.
Yeah, it makes Alexstrasza a really awkward play. Alright, he's going to check and see. It's the bad news.
Does he have 2 Ice Barriers in this deck?
Just one. One Vape, one Ice Barrier.
Okay.
That's a terrifying move order from what I can tell.
That's a pretty good turn.
Yeah.
No easy way to kill that on the side of Labore.
Yeah. He's
And
got
the equality,
just
like,
one
actually weakens his
consecration
own
left.
board.
Yeah. Yeah. Without the card drive for this Paladin deck, it's really hard to find that second consecration to trigger the equality. And we see there's a second Pyro in the deck, so yes, he had 2 chances at it. But yeah, interesting. Just going to drop the Doomsayer and burn his own board.
I bring life.
All right. Well, I suppose the reasoning here is if he couldn't pop the block the previous turn, then not going to be able to pop the block this turn.
Yeah, I was gonna say just Fireball his face twice, but I guess this is better. Does more damage.
Yeah, Pyroblast. No, we got lethal with Ice Lance. Alright.
Well, yeah, gonna be 3-0 all of a sudden. But I don't think a huge surprise there either. I mean, yeah, with the lack of healing, Paladin as well. Just, I don't think you'd consider it strong in all that many cases, but yeah, again, pretty favorable. So things starting to look pretty good for Para.
Yeah, don't know exactly what he's got left. He's got the a bunch of warrior decks, I think, actually.
I will crush you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess we might get into that. That scenario that you mentioned at the top opposition. If he can't win with all those warrior decks, then he could be in for some trouble. But I guess we'll see.
Worgen warrior.
Worgen warrior. All right, let's see if I can find which.
The 5th one.
The 5th one. Perfect.
Yeah, and a pretty top-heavy Shaman list here. It's got Karen, it's got Sylvanas, it's got 2 Fire Elementals and Ragnaros, as well as a Bloodlust.
Yeah, I think this is, I want to say this is Talk's Worgen warrior list. The only difference is instead of having a Blood Mage, he's got that Slam, which you see just drew.
Yeah.
It's a very weapon-heavy deck. He's got 2 War Axes and an Arcanite Reaper. So he's got a lot of damage, as we've mentioned.
Well, a lot of ways to chew through any taunts that you encounter as the warrior. There's usually a way to clear them with the Pyro, and then you've also got weapons to help clear them. So deceptively difficult for even taunt-heavy decks to deal with.
Speaking of weapon, he's got a good answer to either of the 3-drops that Labore decides to play.
Yeah. And the slam in hand helps too. Yep, this sets up a kind of difficult position here. Already
Harvest
taking
Golem
up
is so
more.
rough against Warrior.
Yeah,
Armor Smith War Axe is just way too... It deals with it way too well.
yeah. Alright, we see the loot order as well. Now, there's only one Earthshock in Labore's deck, which means that he's, you know, you'd rather play the loot order sooner rather than later, given that you presume that the Earthshock's not going to be in the opening hand. So yeah, left without an answer for a 2-1 here. It's tough. I don't think you want a Lightning Storm. You don't especially want to play the Harvest Golem.
I mean, what else do you do?
Yeah, sometimes you can hero power, but you don't really want to take any chip damage. It's kind of like Freeze Mage, where if you take little tiny chip damage from the Loot Hoarder or the Novice Engineer kind of creatures, it's, you know, really damaging.
I think that was a fine play, though. He's got 3 mana next turn, so he can go 3-drop into 6-drop.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. Feel bad having to play the Harvest Golem again, but it's not the end of the world.
No, it's a creature that, you know, is going to 2-for-1. Gets a charge off the weapon, but yeah, nonetheless, kind of a difficult position here. Taskmaster, great answer to it. But moving into turn 6, Karen is a very tough creature for any warrior deck to deal with.
That's absolutely the play.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on all the 6-mana legendaries, just in general, in Classic? They're all very... I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Underexplored. No, I think that creative use of Sylvanas by strong players is always a nice thing to see. She has a lot of potential. Karen is just one of those creatures that if you know you're expecting a lot of warriors or you know you're expecting a lot of druids, like a druid mirror is going to be good. The Black Knight is another one that we don't see in this deck, but can be very strong at dealing with druids as well. I think most of them are kind of anti-druid, anti-warrior cards. You certainly don't want to be drawing these against aggro.
Yeah, I don't really like Karen. I've never played it, but it's also, despite me not liking it, it is a card that more often than not I hate when I have to play against it. It's very annoying.
If you have the answer, it's not a problem. If you don't have the answer, Karen is, you know, you just start to smack your head and think, oh, what is he going to do? He's not just going to 2-for-1 me. He might 3-for-1, might 4-for-1 me. And that's not, obviously, the kind of thing that you want to be thinking about. So, yeah, he has his place. Certainly in an aggressive format, you really don't want to be playing Karen much.
Yeah, it's a card that I think kind of fell out of favor after Classic back in the day.
Now I think he's a 5/5, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he sees no play as a 5/5 in Standard, but that's not that surprising.
At 6 mana, he doesn't kill his opponent from 30 to 0. So I could see why not.
Yeah, but they gave it +1 attack.
Oh, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, the maximum value machine.
I mean, Death Rattles in general are too slow for modern Hearthstone, unless they're like crazy. And Karen Death Rattle is not actually that crazy.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, for sure, in Classic and some of the early sets, felt like Death Rattle just had this insane boost to it. Like, you get so many stats for the mana cost, and sometimes you are even just happy that something had a Death Rattle. Like, forget the extra stats that you get. You know, now you've got something that survives Flame Strike or Brawl, or, you know, just makes it awkward for your opponent. And it's weird to think about Hearthstone that doesn't play by those rules.
Look at this.
Wow.
It's a swing face with the Arcanite Reaper as well.
Surprised he didn't, honestly.
Well, I think you can imagine maybe another taunt comes out here.
Shoutouts to Tim Calgo.
Yeah, well, Tim. Wow, what a guy. We're all rooting for you, Tim. I'll be there someday.
Did he just hit legend or something?
Oh, gold
Gold.
10.
No, yeah,
Oh,
gold 10.
okay.
Gold 9 even. Wow.
Gold 9, yeah, wow. Let's slow down.
So how much damage does he have in hand right now? It's what? 22?
3, 4, 6, 9. That other number. Yeah, I think 22.
That's rough. Not sure how he makes up the 1 damage. He's already used all of his weapons. He just has to draw second inner rage. And then he wins, I guess. So he's got still had enough mana to whirlwind execute.
Yeah. Well, Senjin coming down.
He has another inner rage, right?
Yes, I believe so. Check the deck list and double check here. Yeah, he's got 2. Alright, well, you certainly don't want to see a Taunt Totem here. There's the second inner rage, but not enough mana to cast it this turn. I think that if you're sitting here as Labore, you're probably thinking, I've got 2 hexes in hand, I've got 2 ways to make taunts. Best just swing face and taunt up my 2 dudes. Should be good at that point.
Well, that whirlwind draw is actually really big. I guess he has 2 cards, so
Yeah.
it's likely to be. But now the hex doesn't actually do enough to protect him. You can't use hex defensively because they just get whirlwinded.
Yeah.
And so now it's actually a really awkward turn because you're not going to kill the warrior from here. And there's no more big taunts. You might you have to roll the 1 and 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Yeah, you can try taunting up 2 things and hope Whirlwind is like the last card in the deck, but I don't think that's a reasonable assumption. You kind of just have to assume that your opponent has everything they need.
Well, you also have to hit the Acolyte, so he actually will have every card in his deck. I believe he has 2 cards left. Well,
Yeah, or just
easy
do that.
enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Should play as many minions as you can. Honestly, you probably... Do you hex?
Oh my gosh, he doesn't
Wait.
even... Oh, he's going to hex his opponent's money. Okay, that's fine.
That's fine. That's actually pretty good. Denies him the last card in his deck. Which
know.
is...
Yeah. Is there a way to buff this 0-1 in order to bump the 0-2 and do lethal?
No. So I think that's it. You can clear some of this damage off by using his combo, but then he doesn't have combo, and
Yeah, no cards in deck. I'm not sure that's going to work. Yeah, that's I don't see a way around this. Yeah.
so, congrats to Paro. Like 1 and 4 totem roll away from being 4-0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely doing well so far.
Well, if the crazy brawl RNG can't win you a game, I suppose the 1 and 4 on the Taunt Totem is gonna make it happen.
You know, that's just what I was thinking. Like twice now in these situations where you need the RNG to go your way, and yeah, there was just barely enough to save him. But nice to see the gap getting closed a little bit anyway. And yeah, maybe this is the start of that death spiral for these warriors. Who knows?
Yeah.
Got a lot of games left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's one other possibility, right? We said 12 games between these two, so I don't think there's any rules that would block out a tie, is there?
They'll play until they win 2 times with every deck, so theoretically, yeah, they'll have to play a last game. It'll have to be 1 player winning 12 times.
Oh,
not
until
just
they
12
win.
times.
Good
Oh,
old best
cool.
of 23.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm staying up way later than I thought. Oh, okay. Ah, yeah. This is cool.
Maybe we're rooting for Para to win
Yeah.
after all.
Can you just win, like, yeah. What is that? The next 10 games?
Yeah, unfortunately, as an East Coaster, I will probably not be awake for all of them. I'll stay as long as I can.
Perfect.
I'm here for the long haul.
Nice. Well, if there's just no response on the other end and the deck lists stop updating, you know what happened to me.
I'm drooling at your keyboard.
Yeah, maybe you can hear the snoring.
Alright, we're going to see the Redemption Paladin here against the Control Druid. Control Druid has certainly been a popular deck on the ladder recently, at least on the NA ladder. A pretty active response to the aggro meta that we've been seeing a lot of.
Yeah.
Now, this particular Control Druid doesn't run the Black Knight, but it does run Mark of the Wild. And that's a potential combo, a combo that you can run where you Mark of the Wild your opponent's big creature, and then you use your Black Knight to kill it. Seen Sylvanas and Sunwalker instead of the Black Knight here. So maybe not so worried about the Druid Mirror, I'm not sure. Just doesn't care about the combo.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I've tried to use that Black Knight combo before, and I did find a lot of times I ended up using Mark of the Wild just out of desperation on my own stuff anyway. Obviously, it's going to be very matchup dependent. There's, some aggressive decks where you're going to have to. But it's kind of cool seeing it with the Pyromancer as well. Just a one of with the Pyro. Not investing too heavily on the defense with either of those cards, but yeah, both able to improve matchups against kind of aggressive decks.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask what your thoughts on the single Pyro are, because I'm going to be honest, mine are not particularly positive. I'm not super convinced by it.
It's a very annoying card, I think, for certain decks to deal with. I think the danger is if a Pyro clears your board and stays up with like 1 health or a Mark of the Wild or something on them, you absolutely have to kill it. I mean, obviously, if it's marked, it's taunted, but it's one of those things where if it manages to like 2 for 1 your board or 3 for 1 your board, all of a sudden the next thing that you play, it's going to be scary. You don't want to reload with a bunch of 1-drops. In Shaman, it can be quite strong as well, like Pyro Lightning Storm or Pyro Earth Shock against Zoo, where you're just leaving yourself with a 3/1 body that's like plus 3, kind of like Knife Juggler.
I was referring to specifically in this Druid deck. I don't really think he's got enough cheap spells to trigger it reliably enough. But
yeah, I'm not sure. Like I haven't played with it myself, but I've been up against a number of Druids who I'm assuming are running double Pyro, and they're trying to be a lot more concerned with a board that goes a bit wider. And in cases where it works, like it works very, very well, right? Because Swipe doesn't do a great job on its own of clearing the board, just at 1 damage. So Pyro is like another way of kind of getting that spell power effect that you normally get from the Drake or a Thalnos or something. A little more, like I said, versatile with Mark of the Wild. So I can sort of, I guess, see the thought process behind it. Yeah, it would be nice to have another way of clearing the board a little bit better. But I would agree with you that I'm unconvinced it's deserving of a spot in Druid just because they have so many other good options.
I think if you're concerned about facing a wide board, I'm a bigger fan of the Doomsayer type. But also something I haven't played around with too much, so...
Well, one of the benefits that you have of adding a Pyro in is that you have a better Shaman matchup, right? Is because you can clear all those 2 health things that are normally a real pain for you. If you swipe a board with a bunch of Shaman totems, they heal right back up, and you kind of have the same problem of the threat of somebody throwing down Flame Tongue. So I could see it as a way to maybe help with that Shaman matchup a little bit. Also worth noting that like smart zoo players and smart aggro players in general will just kind of find ways to buff up their 1 health minions by putting a bubble on them or by giving them 2 health. You know, they'll play around swipe, so it becomes a little less powerful when you're talking about 2 really strong players like this.
Now this is kind of interesting here. I find as Paladin, this Druid matchup can be very deceptive. A play like we just saw, where equality is used to get rid of just a single Ancient of War, it feels nice at the time. You take out this big minion, you start to establish a bit of a board, but really you've only got 2 tools that are effective at dealing with these big minions, and Para's gone really heavy on the high end. With how little steam Paladin really has, I'm kind of concerned that there just may not have been enough value from that equality, and not enough draw to potentially get into the other one in time. Yeah, so a move that maybe seemed good at the time, I think this could be the start of Para really securing the board and things getting ugly.
Yeah, it's tough because you know that the Druid's essentially going to play 1 minion per turn, especially when they're playing this particular deck, this kind of control-y version of Druid. So, you know, I don't see it getting that much value in the matchup, despite the fact that, yeah, it's going to do 9 damage to an Ancient of War, but when is anybody reasonably going to put 2 Ancients of War on there and give you the value out of that? If you stick 1, you're probably going to be happy to just follow it up with something that's got middling health.
I just realized he actually isn't running combo in this deck, is he?
It's full on
Druid
control.
deck.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we did see a bit of an interesting way of using the Pyromancer. I'll be honest, I didn't consider excess mana as one of the procs for it.
Yeah, I like that. That was creative.
I was wondering why he played Wild Growth before it. I was like, hey, you wanna kill these 1/1s off, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Turns out he is the one who knows how to use Pyro and Druid.
And Labora coming right back with another intriguing Pyro play, coining out Pyro, and then casting Consecration. Oh, it's a tough play. It's very hard to deal with this Druid of the Claw now.
Truth is my shield.
Yeah, he really needs a Tyrion. Try to start doing this last bit of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately we just get silenced right away anyway. But I guess this is kind of what I mean with this matchup. Like you might be right that you just can't hold on to that equality for any longer, but Paladin just so ineffective at pushing that last bit of damage. Yeah, without something like Tyrion.
We're going to see the Doomsayer. Interesting. When you're running out of cards, yeah, I guess he's going to go for clear. It always silence it too.
Job's done.
Well, you're staring down a real difficult board here.
I bring life.
A novelty use of Alexstrasza there.
Yeah, the lesser of 2 evils, I suppose.
Is there any shenanigans you can do with Sylvanas here?
I wish.
Just play it on an empty board.
Yeah.
Kind of a shenanigan.
Yeah.
Just play it.
Vanilla 5/5. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough no matter what. You're thinking, what cards can my opponent have? Now Sylvanas is actually a decent draw here.
Well, if he plays both minions, he can actually keep her his own Sylvanas and then swing it into the taunt to take his.
It's true.
Which I think should end the game,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Been saving the keeper for Tyrion, I assume here.
Nah, I think you just take the Sylvanas. If he plays
Yeah.
Tyrion now, then
That's going to be Tyrion hero power, and with no way to get around the taunt to get the 1/1. It is a 50-50, but Pyromancer is not the card that we wanted.
All right. 4 wins here. Now, am I crazy? Was there a reason at the end there to swing that that Drake in?
There was not. I believe that was a hastily made decision that probably was instantly regretted.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
denoted by the 5 to 10 second pause between swinging Sylvanas in there.
Yeah, I was like, it's not that late yet. I'm not that tired. Or like, am I that washed up at this game? Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I think he might have been thinking that the Drake would actually die, so he could have hero powered and then traded the 2 Sylvanases in to like full clear the board and then just play like an Ancient of Lore. And then he realized that Drake was still alive. That's my best guess.
Huh.
Right.
Or it was just a misclick. I don't know. Or did he
Handicap.
have a 3rd minion on the board? I don't remember.
No. Oh, no, he had Cenarius, right?
Oh, well, yeah. There. I got nothing then.
So I guess, yeah, at that point, I think once the Paladin's out of cards and has no draw, it's going to be tough.
It's
Right.
kind of the big problem with Control Paladin. It doesn't have the card draw it really needs, especially since you've got really powerful removal cards, but you only have a couple really powerful removal cards. So if you aren't able to get a ton of value off of them, like Dex was saying, you can find yourself just getting flooded again, and then you have no ways to deal with it.
Yeah, and maybe going back, perhaps a better use of equality is just to keep summoning the dudes. And if your opponent swipes, maybe you hope that you survive it, with 1 or 2 minions, and you can just keep a couple of 1/1s on the board, maybe get a little bit of value. At some point, the Druid doesn't want to keep putting down big minions against a board with like 2 or 3 1/1s on it. Well, that's a tough rope to walk there too.
Got Dex's favorite matchup, the Control Warrior Mirror.
I like it. You know, when it's not at 4 in the morning.
Now I'm
It's
curious
only-
if either player here is going to make like use of their hero power. Interesting.
Huh.
Right for it.
Hero power. Is that good in this matchup?
I guess we'll have to find out. That doesn't even opt for the armor smith going for a hero power. Let's predict the play here. Okay.
Yes.
Armor up. Interesting choice. Now, Karen is a big draw. That's definitely one of the cards that you can actually plop down on the board before you fill up your hand and have nothing to play.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at these 2 lists and see, because sometimes like these warrior mirrors, I think if you're like a Control Warrior player who enjoys the deck, they could be like fun and intricate to watch. But sometimes you can just look at the lists, and one of them is so much more favored than the other in the mirror. So you're almost always running Karen. We see both players running them, so sure, that's fine. But stuff like Sunwalker is an important inclusion. I'm seeing both with Gorehells. Tinkmaster's going to get a lot of value here. Yeah, really not a lot that stands out from either player. You know, it's Sen'jins over Korkrons, but the Sen'jins could get hit with the Black Knight. So, actually one of these games where I think, if you're a fan of Control Warrior, it's very likely to not be a draw-dependent thing. It's going to come down to who can use their resources most efficiently, or maybe win a lucky brawl.
Yeah,
It's
I
rather
agree.
than Black Knight there, actually. But
Do we have a Sunwalker as a target here?
I think he does have one
He's
Sunwalker.
got 1 Sunwalker, so maybe going for the maximum value approach there, looking for that 1 Sunwalker.
I do think if we want to talk about who's favored with the card choices, I think the person with Black Knight and no taunts is favored against the one with taunts and no Black Knight. if only marginally. I don't think it's a big deal, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No
think
matter.
you're probably right.
There's an interesting dance sometimes with Sylvanas and Karen as well. Now, Tinkmaster in hand, that's a nice card to see. I believe that was Tinkmaster drawn by Labore.
looks like it. Unless there's another 3-mana legendary. He brings out the king.
It took me a second. I'm like, yeah, what other 3-mana legendaries are there?
Hey, what a melted card. Huge value.
Yeah, get some bananas in there.
That's a very good use.
Ooh.
of Tinkmaster.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't really matter which one it landed on. Although the 1/1 is definitely a little bit better, obviously.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised he didn't swing into it.
I suppose he's got Whirlwind.
Oh yeah,
But
I
it
guess
is good to get chip damage in with 1/1s if you can. Any chip damage you can get on your opponent's armor is, just a little bit closer to them losing to fatigue.
yeah, that's very true. But you're just actually finally noticing. Yeah, so the slight advantage with the Black Knight, I would agree, but just noticing no BGH for Labore either, which that I think will have a significant impact. So yeah, maybe Para actually with a somewhat significant deck advantage here.
I have no time to gain.
Also, just a very experienced Control Warrior player. I've seen a lot of him play in Control Warrior very well and various other control decks well. So probably kind of in his wheelhouse here. I think he's armored up against a Warrior before, probably knows the tempo of the matchup.
Truth is my shield.
Alright, bringing out the Sunwalker, I guess, can sometimes create an awkward board here for your opponent, but with the Black Knight in hand, it looks pretty good. Alright, he's just going to steal the carrot.
There's still another Shield Master, I believe, for Black Knight to get
That's
some
right.
value.
Overall, just Karen, such a dominant card in this matchup, makes sense that you'd want two of them. Taking a swing at that 17 armor face. Normally we see a lot more emotes in this match to keep things kind of lively. Neither player taking advantage of the I will crush you emote.
Well, now that's interesting that you go to the I will crush you. I'm much more of a greetings person myself. I feel like that's way more appropriate for the Control Warrior mirror.
Right, there's a certain level of parity to saying I will crush you as you sit there and armor up and very visibly do not crush them.
I see.
Yeah.
Let's see, but it's like right. I'm not a WoW guy, but my understanding, if you're like a WoW warrior, you're supposed to you just tank, you taunt and you tank. So I think they're actually trying to play the class effectively, right? Doing the proper role playing by being like, hey, come target me. It's just that
Yeah.
what they got no backup.
Yeah, you got a good point. I think next time I play a control mirror, I'll probably do that.
Oh, that's
Try out
nice damage.
head greetings, see if I draw any better. Yeah, a little missed damage there. Could have knocked off the armor. And sometimes it can be a big deal, You really want to sit at greater than 8 armor so that you're able to play minions like Ragnaros and force out Whirlwind Execute, get a 2-for-1 or something.
Yeah, still both want to find that Alex draws before they start committing some of these bigger minions onto the field.
Yeah.
I kind of surprised Labore used Whirlwind there. I think I would have just dared getting Hammer out. But I'm not sure exactly.
Karkron also a surprisingly strong card in this matchup as well. Just because it, the War Axe does remove it just fine. It gets 8 damage in for 4 mana, which isn't so bad. But outside of the War Axe, there really aren't too many effective ways to deal with it. And sometimes it can get a nice 2-for-1, just ping down an Armor Smith and then soak up a War Axe shot. So I always like to see that card. Alright.
Fortunately, the hand is full, so the Ragnaros has to come out. I wonder if he could have just gotten away with playing Black Knight, but it's like he's got plenty of ways to deal with a Shield Master.
Sure.
That Gore Howl equipped.
Sure.
Alright. Not win.
I guess you can't win all.
Yeah, I do think that was the right call, though. Like we talked about, between the two decks, if you're at a slight disadvantage, you got to find some way to make your removal a little more effective. So, roll the dice, and one way to do it.
Yeah, Brawl is not typically a very strong card in this matchup, so a lot of times you see players will try and play their Acolytes, and at the worst, you brawl away your own Acolyte. So, yeah, that's reasonable, especially with 2 Brawls in the deck. Now, Shield Block is not usually something you want to play too much. You want to be kind of careful about drawing too many cards and just bringing yourself into fatigue.
I think he was actually worried about dying. That's why he played it.
Yeah.
I've got the beast in my sight.
Interesting choice.
He's got to play something, and he doesn't want to play an Acolyte.
Yeah. Isn't there only one Whirlwind in that deck?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
He
that's
can
one
actually
way to do
afford to Shield Block because his opponent if he so
Right.
desires a better card in his hand.
Right.
There's that Alex Jaraza finally. But I'm not sure if it's going to accomplish much.
I feel like you pretty much have to play it here. You've got all your damage in hand.
Absolutely, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough.
Yeah. 22 armor's a lot.
I bring life.
For the war chief!
Not surprised that he uses the Korkron instead of the Taskmaster to kill the Alex.
Yeah. You wanna use your removal spells on enemy creatures, and Shield Slam I think is, gonna be one that you can't use on your own Grom. So just trying to keep that threat up.
Can you look at the cards in deck
Yeah.
for a second?
Yeah, so we got 5 for Para, now 4, 3 for Labore.
Okay. So yeah, it depends on how confident he feels about his HP lead. I guess now you're definitely not playing the shield blocks, but it does mean that he'll have to do some awkward trades. He'll have to use his Taskmaster that he would like to save for Grom if Labore opts to play Rag, which I'm not sure why. But
You kind of have to.
you gotta kill him eventually.
Yeah, as fun as it is to sit across from someone in armor up the whole time, eventually, you do have to play cards.
Yeah, there is this weird pocket at the end of, when you've basically drawn through your whole deck. I'm not sure that this is a case here with 26 armor and still more turns to hero power. But, you can often just wait until you both get into fatigue before making some plays. Try to render one of those shield slams useless. So I think that's the consideration here. Can you just wait it out, let the fatigue grind it down? But yeah, I don't think he's got the luxury.
Yeah.
And he also did see that the previous shield slam had come right off the top. So reasonable to assume there's a decent chance that that the other one's not there.
Yeah.
Almost out of cards.
Well, not a lot of
totals
threats
are-
left.
It equalized. Labora still has that Sylvanas, which Para needs to keep in mind. He got really big value out of his Sylvanas getting to take that Cairn.
Yeah.
Cairn had to be executed, I believe, which is a real problem, I would say.
There's definitely a strong answer to Sylvanas coming down raw on the board with Acolyte Brawl. Because if the Sylvanas steals the Acolyte, you're just going into horrible fatigue as a result. And 2 Acolytes with a Brawl, you know, you might even play just the 2 Acolytes on the board raw against the Sylvanas and then save the Brawl for the next turn.
Yeah, you can't just play the Sylvanas. That's what I'm saying. For Para, it needs to be tactful with how he uses his Alex and his Grom. One of those getting stolen could matter.
Absolutely. Alright, happy to see that shield slam here. Would have liked to have seen it last turn for sure. Right, that moment in the warrior mirror where you're sitting there with an empty board, 2 gore howls, and you got all your cards in hand.
I have no time for games.
Comes down.
On Mage.
Not really a lot of proactive threats there.
I'm almost out of cards.
Well, if he does play both his Acolytes, they can
Speak to me.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, using the gore howl to make him steal the acolyte. That's clever.
to think that that one's a bit hard to recover from. You brawl to hope to get rid of that Acolyte.
That'd be a rather strange thing, but we might see it. Both
I mean-
players actually opting for 2 brawls here. That's interesting.
Definitely not standard in Classic to run 2 brawls.
Yeah.
It's not even really that good against the aggro decks that were brought.
No.
It's really just an anti-zoo tech, more than anything.
Yeah, and even then, I suppose the idea is that you just want to have a brawl in hand at some point. But, you know, it's not a great tempo play on 5. You play it on 5 and they reload on 6, and, you know, things are still difficult.
You ever consider shield slamming this this armor smith? You've got Tankmaster for the Grom, and that's the only big thing he's got left.
I think you probably wait and see what comes out, and then you can just sequence with the removal remaining.
Yeah, I don't think it matters because I think he's ahead too much in the fatigue battle here.
Yeah. Still got Alex in hand as well, so one of those big fatigue swings can always heal up with Alex.
I think Alex is just going to be 3 damage this game.
Yeah.
We'll see what he decides to do, though.
I think Parr can just sit. He doesn't have to do anything. He can just keep armoring up. He's probably okay taking the 1 per turn. Fatigue damage is going to kill his opponent more quickly.
At the same time, there's no reason to keep it alive, right?
You can get a little brawl value off of it if your opponent plays any other minion. You can play brawl and try and, you know, make the armor smith win the brawl.
Yeah, it's the only benefit I can really see from it, but
It's got the shield block, or the shield slam, and there's only 1 big minion left. So
Yeah,
it seems unnecessary.
Shield Slam or even the swing from Gorehal seems reasonable.
I would say shield slam because he's got 5 attack on the Gorehowl. He wants that to kill Shield Master.
Where's that second copy of Black Knight when you need it?
Dingo! Yes.
looks like he's just gonna go ahead and brawl. That's correct. Now I would definitely short this. Just keep the 5 attack. It's got 1 big minion. You just take a master it, even if it's a 5/5, you just get rid of it. And I think the 5 damage isn't enough to make up for how much damage he's taking in fatigue.
Yeah, letting a 1/4 stay alive for this long, I guess it is getting a little bit of chip damage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it matters, but
Rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, so they say.
yeah.
All right, but the cool play here that also doesn't matter is you kill the armor smith next turn, play your acolyte, and then turn it into a devil's sword.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's some next level
Tempting.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Except it becomes a squirrel, and then it just gets brawled, and the squirrel wins. But, you know, in my head canon, it's cool.
And then you're the one doing 1 chip damage. Seems
Yeah.
pretty good.
True.
Yeah.
I think he is dead next turn. 12, 17, 22. Or no, he's only got 4 to attack on the weapon. Oh, yeah, 5.
Five on the weapon.
Alright, so yeah, that's
12, 17. Yeah, I think
that's
you're right.
24 actually, right? Because he just took 6 fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't matter if he had 4 attack on the weapon.
I can wait no longer. Back to work.
There we go. You gotta at least take him down below his starting life.
Yep. Yep. Looks like 23 damage. 24, yeah. Alright.
I gotta go shave now.
Yeah. Is it time for work now?
Yeah.
Alright, Bar racking up another win there.
Yeah, 5-1. So just one deck left to win with. Which one is it?
Which one did he lose with? Was that the OTK warrior?
That's right, the Worgen
Ah,
Warrior.
yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty good guy. I think he lost with the warrior, actually. Yeah, I think it was the warrior.
Ah,
One
yeah,
and
yeah.
half his deck.
Yeah, the guy with all the fire behind him that kept putting on armor. Yeah, it's that one.
The guy in the chair. Honestly, the Garrosh hero portrait is so cool.
It
Like, they
really
haven't
is.
made a warrior better than OG Garrosh in Hearthstone.
Not much like the 1,000-win warrior, but I'm not here to editorialize. But yeah, I feel like the original one is just great.
I mean, I use all original heroes, so I can't say much. Maybe I could be biased. Oh, the warrior
Oh,
mirror.
wow.
All right.
It's been a while since I've seen this.
Well, certainly for the control warrior, they can overdraw with the cold light.
Yeah.
So yeah, gotta be a little wary of that.
Yeah, this matchup does go a bit differently. I mean, it's kind of interesting in that Worgen Warrior gets to play this a bit different. Like all their tiny minions that are here to just help them draw. Yeah, sometimes they're effective for chip damage, or you're just, you're not so concerned with having to force that draw out because you expect this game to go for a long time. But yeah, it's not so much 2 players doing the exact same thing, but it is 2 players strapping themselves in to draw most of their deck.
Whether they want to or not.
Well, if he whirlwinds to get rid of this, is going to give Para a lot of armor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice board here. Hard to deal with. Defile would be strong.
Defile would be strong. You know, one thing I've seen watching Talk them play like Freeze Mage and stuff, they also put Cold Lights into decks like Freeze Mage, just because at like really high legends, like top 10, there's so much rogue and anti-rogue decks that all basically they all can have a full hand, so it becomes kind of a strategy to milling your opponent with Cold Light.
Absolutely. And as an aggro player, I can't agree more with their decision to put Cold Light Oracles in their control decks. I love finding that extra arcane golem. Cold Light wins the brawl.
I am surprised that Para didn't go for a potential overdraw.
It can be nice, but I think realistically you're more interested in your own game plan than you are in your opponent's in this matchup. Kind of just trying to draw your combo and kill them.
Probably true. Here's that second brawl might get played.
Yeah, it's like the first time ever in a Warrior Mirror where 2 brawls have actually been good to have.
Who do you think is the favorite in this matchup, by the way?
It's a tough question. I mean, normally you would think, well, Control Warrior just armors out of range, but, you know, as we're seeing here, the worgen Warrior can put a lot of pressure on early on, and honestly, their combo does quite a bit. You know, they just keep the board clear, keep a little bit of control, and chip off their opponent's armor. They're in good condition to win with a OTK with the worgen.
Can use Whirlwind to mill one. Actually, can he kill the Acolyte after Whirlwinding? I don't know if he could. No, never mind.
Maybe afraid of his opponent's own whirlwind. Gonna tank the face damage. Yep.
That's
And
fine.
yeah, generally when you're playing against a control warrior, you can pretty much face tank down to 15 because they're gonna Alex you anyway.
Just missing the worgen now. Be really careful not to overdraw.
Yeah.
Of course, the lack of execute is becoming a problem.
Yeah, I would consider playing the pyro here, but at the same time you can get a big combo off as well. This is fine. Just go wide on the board. Got plenty of armor. Not really worried about dying here. Not a good option to get rid of this armor smith. We got whirlwind to deal with the loot warrior, but if you really want rag to hit face, it's going to be kind of hard. You also don't necessarily want to damage your own rag to give them an execute activator. Alright, opting for the assertive line here.
Having 2 weapons and 2 executes in like the bottom 10 cards of his deck is pretty rough for Para.
Yeah,
Does draw 1 now though, which is good.
yeah.
He's still in a weird spot.
I think he just needs his worgen here. Let's see, it's 30 health.
Yep. It's 32 damage, right? In total.
Made to fit.
I'm trying to do the math right now. It's been a long day.
I think that's right. I think it's 32, but that's from memory.
It's an interesting play.
Might just be trying to get above 32.
Yeah, he did. It worked out.
They got the second whirlwind in hand. Could still gain some armor and cycle it. It's not like you need to use it to execute anything. You're probably never going to get a better chance than now.
Yeah, so Forrest really looking for those weapons. There's one. Do weapon, just drop the calm shout now.
Yeah.
Play cold light.
We found the worgen. Now he just needs to find Arcanite Reaper, I guess, and hope that he chips down.
Yeah, both shield blocks were used. What he's really worried about now is like a Sunwalker.
Or a Stoneclaw Totem.
Well, let's see. Double Whirlwind will deal with the Sunwalker if he finds an Execute.
Yeah, he's got Execute, and he's also got his Arcanite Reaper to combo with it as well.
Unfortunately. No, never mind. That's actually still one off, isn't it? 32 plus 3.
Alright, well, somebody finally Tink mastered their own acolyte into a devil sword, so I'm happy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know, can he get in reach here? We're at 33 now.
I don't know if he can in time, actually.
I got an Armor Smith in hand, but
Yeah, 'cause-
no way to activate it anymore, right? No one's gone.
Truth is my shield.
I was gonna say, I didn't even need to do that, I think. Yeah, I think he had enough health. He could have just Alexed. 30. Oh, well, no, he didn't have enough health. But yeah, that play worked out, as it turns out.
Well, I feel like it's time to, stir up some drama around this deck. It's only two losses for Para, but both with the same deck, and now it's the last one he's got to win with.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not super familiar with Worgen Warrior. Like, I've played it a handful of times. I haven't played against it that much. I've seen a few different variations. Some that go as heavy as running, like, brawls. I've seen some people who like running, like, double Worgen, things like that. Is there anything in this list that stands out to you as unusual or maybe holding Para back in this set?
I don't have a lot of experience with this deck either. So I can't really say. It looks like a pretty standard list. I know, like you said, that some players do like to include the second Worgen in case they get milled. But if you're cutting the Worgen, you probably got everything that you want in this deck as far as draw and everything else. Warriors, clearly a matchup where if your opponent can go over 32 health and has some taunts in the deck, it can make it really difficult. So it might just be kind of unlucky to get stuck against the 1 and 4 draw on the Stoneclaw in that Shaman matchup.
Right.
Yeah, there was the 1 and 4 and then the Troll Warrior matchup where you really want to be drawing your weapons early so you can get all that chip damage in.
Yeah.
Because Warrior just has so much armor.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Arcanite was its bottom 2 card, I think. It was the second to last card, if I remember correctly. Which is just way too late, I think, for the matchup.
Yeah.
Interesting use of Doomsayer here.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by it.
Interesting use of not armoring up here. Hold up.
He wants Battle Rage. He knows his opponent can't deal enough damage to ever kill him before he's like either busted with his combo or wins with his combo, so he's hoping to take a little face damage.
Interesting. Yeah, I figured that was just a mistake, but okay. It does make sense. Now this is pretty interesting too, because again, most times I've played Paladin, any kind of control Paladin, it's against a standard control warrior. It's more of what you see on ladder. But there's some cards in here, especially comboed with Redemption, that can be really, really annoying for this Worgen. I mean, Cairn is a body, very difficult to remove. But Sunwalker, that taunt with the bubble, very interested to see if he's going to be able to pull something like that off.
Yeah, it might be a situation in which you're thinking, well, maybe you want to actually play.
You enraged the wrong one. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe a matchup where you want to keep your Pyros because you want to have something to pop the bubble. So maybe you don't play them so early and try and combo on the board and stuff. You just kind of play it patiently, armor up a whole bunch, and then use those Pyros later in the game to take down the big taunting minions.
Reasonable. Your thoughts on Redemption? Control Paladin.
It makes a lot of sense. Although, a lot of times you're using your hero power as much as possible, so you kind of, you're always running the risk that you either have a dude getting cleared or you're not getting that value from playing the 1/1. But there are plenty of good minions for it. Of course, anything with a Divine Shield is good.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the Tyrion double Sunwalker.
Right.
I feel like it's another card that's annoying more often than it's actually good.
Yeah, I'm actually really not a fan of it. I've had a little bit of success with it before, but it's hard to say that it's ever won me games. I feel like Paladin needs a lot of help in the early game. Like, you'll see those Doomsayers, the Argent Squire there. I would just prefer, Worgens or something in those 1 or 2 drop spots to help solidify the board early. And then Paladin, yeah, like you said, the hero power is so good into the late game, just grinding out a lot of opponents if it's a matchup that's going to go there. And so Redemption, it can really help you win more in that late game if you get a Cairn, a Sunwalker, Sylvanas, you get some crazy value. But I don't think that that's where Paladin's weakness really was, and I think you're giving up way too much in the early game by slotting it in.
Yeah, there are cards that synergize well with cards like Equality, and Elven Archer is one of those that can be very powerful, even in Control Paladin. Against aggro, it's good. Helps you control the board early, gives you a body. And against certain decks, you want to Equality and hit an Ancient of War so that you can punch through. So that's another, choice, another tech choice that could have been made. Falnos for a little bit of cycle and damage on Consecration can be good as well. And, you can play like Pyro, Falnos, Consecrate, and get 3 damage, draw a card. So that might have been another potential include there in the early spots.
It is just like the big issue with Control Paladin. Right? Like, if you look at other control decks, by other control decks, I mainly just mean Control Warrior. Like, as much as we like to joke about it, Control Warrior can play like proactively if it needs to.
Definitely.
And I think that makes a lot of difference. Why it's one of the better. I mean, not even one of the better. It's just the best control deck in the format.
Yeah, well, Freeze Mage is quite strong as well. Although I suppose it, in some ways it's not quite a control deck. It's more of a fog deck. But yeah, in general, I would agree that Paladin just doesn't have a way to like Leroy you or really kill you. They kind of just have to, get a couple of minions on the board, and you just can't deal with it, which is sort of a win condition for really any deck, right?
Yeah, it's the whole you have to win the game thing that unfortunately struggles a little bit with. There's still a lot of damage coming in next turn, by the way. It's not because there's a Tyrion, but if there was no Tyrion, this would be a lot of damage coming in.
Let's see if he plays the Redemption with it. He's got 2 other minions on the board. One of those can get executed. But at the same time, you're maybe...
Yeah, then you're using Execute.
Yeah. And, it's not the worst thing at 5-1 on the board.
Yeah, it's rough. He's got the full combo. I don't know how he's actually going to get through this Redemption up Tyrion with how much he's used.
Yeah.
Like, even if he pops the Redemption with Execute, then He has to get through Tyrion.
Yeah, not a good
Still,
way
it's
to get
like,
through
how do
him.
you do that?
Yeah, this is sort of what I was thinking earlier with keeping the pyro. Is that I think you sometimes want to have a pyro here. Now he gets the whirlwind.
Was this enough?
That's nice.
Is that Whirlwind? No, it's not enough because you don't have enough mana. Rampage. It's a double rampage. Three, 6,
Oh, that's
12,
enough, though.
14, 28. Right?
Yep. Yep, I think you're right.
This probably was a little nervous about winning with this deck. Now he's got it. So he can move on to the rest of his decks.
Yeah, it does. It opens things right back up. Gotta think, yeah. You're gonna be feeling a lot better. A lot better at 6 wins than you are at 5.
Something tells me that Worgen Warrior will be the very last deck he chooses to win with here as well.
You know what? I just hope there's a break, you know? I like Warrior. Actually, I really like Warrior, but, you know, there are other classes in this game. It would be nice to explore those for a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to see some Demon Hunter. Death Knight, something like that. That would be
Yeah,
cool.
when's Death Knight getting added to Classic? Alta?
Just as soon as you open your wallet up. Alrighty, so
This is not the... Oh, it's Aggro Rogue, that's right. I was going to say, this is not the deck you want to be playing Miracle into, which is true. But
Yeah.
this is not Miracle.
yeah, definitely a deck that has been associated with Labore as well. I think he's hit #1 on both servers briefly with Aggro Rogue or come very close to it. So a deck that I would say he's quite the expert in, a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, I think Labore ended rank 2 NA last season behind Arceus. Finally got that rank 1.
Good for him. Yeah, saw a really competitive ladder there actually this season. A lot of players being highly active, playing 500 or more games. Ooh, Argent Squire off the top. That's how I like to start my games.
Argent Squire is quite a good card, as it turns out. Do you ever save your Cold Light to try to mill in this matchup? I don't know if he's actually going to get to that point, because Par actually has a lot of things he can play, but is that something that Labore is thinking about from here?
That's a consideration. I mean, if you're running out of steam, if you run into Ice Barrier and maybe your Cold-Blooded thing triggers a Vaporize, then it's certainly possible to like save Shadow Step for the Cold Light. But I don't think you're ever really intentionally doing it. You're more interested in just popping the block and killing the Mage.
Mind if I roll knee?
Alright, order here is important.
Alrighty.
Got the hidden before using the weapon.
Okay, opting for Hero Power, not concerned about drawing cards here. There we see the Shadow Step.
No, it's an option, but
Get in there and fight, maggot!
I don't think he's gonna go for it, yeah.
No. I think as the aggro deck here, you're trying to develop a board that's annoying and make them deal with it. 4 mana is an awkward amount for the Freeze Mage.
Yeah, he really wants to Frost Nova, but if he does that, he can't Frost Nova Doomsayer.
Yeah. Kind of the last turn for the Rogue to really get on the board. Then you have a nice clean reload next turn with Cold Light Shadow Step.
Yeah, Cold Light Shadow Step, you can hit into the loot order. I think that mills 3 cards, actually, if he wants to go for it.
Yeah. If 2 of those 3 are Ice Block, it's a pretty done deal.
Well, there's no Ice Blocks in hand yet.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Pop the loot order first. I like it. You've already played both your deck hands. It's irrelevant. And you need to lose your weapon so you can play Assassin's Blade next turn.
Do you play Archon Squire this turn? I actually think you hold on to it.
It's a good question. Oh, there's one.
The light
Yeah,
protects me.
I think that's correct. You got another Cold Light in hand. Oh, jeez. Doesn't manage to find the Doomsayer either. And now this creates another awkward situation where the Mage player wants to play out cards like Novice Engineer. At 10 cards in hand, though, it's not really going to help. And yeah, we're just detecting weakness here, going for all damage with the Assassin's Blade.
Yeah, it was tempting to Cold Light again, but I think this is a you got room to go face. And actually, that's just game.
Yeah.
Mill him one last time with the Cold Light before playing Arcane Golem.
Yeah, go for the fatigue win. Well, nice quick game.
Yeah, a little bit different there.
6-3 now, I believe.
Yeah, 6-3. Now, I did mention this at the top of the cast, the VOD, whatever. I think I glossed over it a bit. So yeah, hoping to make these show matches just more frequent, more of a thing. You know, we've been doing an EU and NA tournament like once a month or so. This is kind of a nice way to fill that time, just whenever people are really feeling up for it. And yeah, we're open to any kind of format that people want to play. So like this is a very unique kind of creative thing. I know some people are in favor of banning certain decks or classes or cards. And yeah, really it's so flexible because, well, it's a friendly environment. Like we've got 3 warriors here that, you know, these 2 players have just agreed are different enough and they're comfortable playing in this kind of thing. So yeah, anyone welcome, but would be very, very cool to see other people in the classic community come out and do this sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We all want to see good Hearthstone players playing exotic decks and, you know, showing off their main decks that they're really good at, their signature decks. So if you're one of those players, absolutely you can contact one of us. And definitely a shout out to our participants tonight. They were super cool about coming up with rules and saying yes to just about anything that was wild and crazy. So they've been really good sports all the way around.
Alright, so we barely got a peek at this hunter before. Some very unusual inclusions here. Fen Creeper and Sunwalker.
You see one right there, that's Sunwalker. I was talking about it. He's got a lot of taunts in this deck.
Yeah.
It's like you'd almost call it a control hunter-ish.
Yep, that was what he said. Is it's a control hunter. Now a lot of times we've seen like really more formal control hunters that are playing Ragnaros at the top end. So instead of just seeing taunts here, wanting to save his own face.
Yeah, I mean, I like this style of hunter. I've actually found Senjin's very effective before. I also like not topping out at too high of a mana cost. Like I think sometimes Rag it's like a fringe card. It's right there, but certainly can't go for any of those 9s like other classes have the luxury to do, because yeah, no real healing here. But yeah, I'm not really sure why he feels the need to have just that many taunts, and even the misdirects is a way to kind of mitigate a bit of damage.
Yeah, it's very defensive. A lot of times, pretty much any hunter deck will be pretty good against rogue, just because they have a lot of good tools to remove the rogue minions. And I'm kind of surprised not to see Deadly Shot here. I guess he's waiting for the gadgets to end.
Yeah, Para used a lot of tools in that last turn. Coin, prep, and fan.
Yeah.
On that turn 4 play, just to clear the whatever minion that was. I forgot already. The Shield Master.
Yeah.
It's dead. It doesn't
You
matter.
played another one. I refreshed
Yeah.
my memory.
Yeah, I was surprised to not see the deadly shot as well, but yeah, just kind of looking between this. I'm so fixated on the hunter, but I'd forgotten that this miracle rogue only runs one sap, and against this many taunts, it's just really annoying.
Especially with Sunwalkers, you don't really want to be sapping this engine if a Sunwalker's going to come down.
Surprised he cold-blooded the Azure Drake instead of the SI7. Just potentially playing into an explosive trap.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not a huge deal, but that is a huge deal.
Yeah, I reckon so.
But,
He's not
yeah.
even gonna play it out. I don't
No.
totally blame him.
No, I don't either. He's got a long night ahead of him. The last thing he wants to do is sit here and watch a rogue draw their entire deck.
Yeah, fair enough. But boy, I would love to see that hunter deck come right back. It's just so different than anything I'm really used to, but very interested to see it actually working as
4.5
intended.
left. He's got the control hunter. I think he's got control warrior. No, that beat the OTK warrior. So what else does he have? I think he has a druid.
He does a regular old combo druid.
Druid.
Yeah, not too much to say about the druid. No 3-drops. That's not true. He's got Farseer. No BGH is the big one.
Yeah, it's like an anti-aggro. Well, no, I wouldn't say anti-aggro, but one that deals well with a little better with aggro decks by playing those instead of BGH. But yeah, I think, what's interesting to me is that there was this meta when Hearthstone was first around, and some decks were considered kind of bad. And I think for the most part, Hunter is maybe the class that we've seen the most creative, actual good decks come out of. There are creative decks from all over the place, but really seeing like mid-range Hunters start to shine, seeing this Trap Hunter start to shine, and then Control Hunters. And a lot of creativity has gone into that class, and I think it's maybe a little underappreciated class that people thought, oh, it's just just smork with it. But people are showing you can try and play it in a control-y fashion and still do well. It's got some tools like Hunter's Mark, Explosive, that can be very efficient.
Yeah, I kind of think of it in a similar boat to Shaman. I think Shaman saw certainly more popularity at the onset of Hearthstone, but it really fell off with the prominence of Zoo because it struggles so much there. But when Shaman is not playing in a matchup that's that weak, it can be just incredibly dominant. And I think that's kind of where Hunter is as well. It's like it's got some matchups, or it feels a little weak in some cases, but it does. I think it's got a spot, a little niche in the meta, and in certain pockets, yeah, a lot of people having success on ladder and in tournaments.
The fact that it can target rogues so effectively from so many different angles is definitely one of the benefits of the deck. You've got Deadly Shot, you've got Misdirect for that gigantic Edwin that comes down early. You've got Freezing Trap, you've got Snipe, which hits every single minion that you care about. So yeah, it's got and you've got Explosive for Leroy as well. So it's got all these tools, which are really strong against Rogue, and I think that's part of the reason that we see so many of these creative Hunter decks is face a lot of rogues no matter what.
I think the rogue matchup is a big thing, and I actually think Hunter is really good into a lot of the other anti-rogue decks like Handlock and Freeze Mage. I think it's very effective. Hunter's Mark is huge against big giants and drakes. The Flare for Freeze Mage, and even without Flare, just having the constant damage pressure with Steady Shot is sometimes just enough, depending on the deck.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Flare. Actually, that's one that it's always hard to justify on ladder because it's just so random. Unless maybe you're way at the top of ladder, kind of the 5 or 10 people you're going to be facing and what they like to play. But for sure in these tournaments.
Sayer, by the way.
Looks
like that's what he's going to do.
I don't hate it. Yeah.
I would Hunter's Mark the Doomsayer and play the high main there, I think. But it finds that deadly shot, which
It's a little.
you can't argue with. Although, you know, your board's probably cleared next turn. But yeah, high main is really what makes this so tough to deal with if you get both of those. Now, Vaporize is okay. But still.
Yeah, Vaporize definitely helps on the empty board with high main.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just wants to keep getting that hero power, like I said.
yeah.
Wants to do damage. Double ice block in hand for Para could be a little bit too tough to deal with.
Yeah. But no draw left. And if you run dry on draw here, it's going to be tough to find stuff to play. And now that the... Well, you can still vape and ping off the 1/1 here. That's okay.
You require my assistance.
Oh?
Aha!
Might see a funky play like Hunter's marking the taunt so he can deadly shot
Yeah. I think that's the best play for sure.
Tony. I forgot
Yeah.
his name.
Uncle
Archmage
Tony.
Antonidas. That's the one.
Yeah, good, strong answer here.
Still getting those hero powers in. There's no board freeze at the moment in Para's hand. Can maybe get vaporized value. Not well.
So. Oh, we got Frostbolt Ice Lance.
Yeah, it looks like he's really just hoping for a good like an Ice Lance or a Frostbolt draw on the next turn.
Yeah. That's what it's going to
Or
have
Fireball. I think he has one more Fireball as well.
to be. Yeah.
Truth is my shield.
That's kind of his only hope, he feels.
Almost thought. Oh,
Oh,
maybe.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't
Gonna
think
be.
Flare in this deck list.
Yeah.
No flare here.
Tough. Yeah, showing the resources and the experience with Freeze Mage to pull the trigger like that. But I think when you have no draw in hand, sometimes you gotta just say, I can't just draw this out for a couple more turns against a high main on the board. I don't have Blizzard or anything else, but that's gonna be a tough loss too. You know, a very dominant hunter start there. I still think I might have liked the high main Hunter's Mark there on the Doomsayer. You have a 50-50 chance to hit the Doomsayer and just have a great board. Or if your board dies, then you still got the two hyenas.
I think you're a little bit more optimistic than I am about winning the 50-50.
I live and die by the knife.
I can respect it.
That guy goes in every one of my decks.
Well, good news is we will not be seeing. Good news for Labore, I suppose. We will not be seeing the Freeze Mage for Par anymore. That is 2 wins with the deck.
Yep.
And good news for the viewers. Got plenty of warrior to come.
Yeah, that's right. If you're a fan of armor, you're gonna love this.
Oh,
I think he's going with the aggro
Let
warrior.
the hunt begin.
That's what I called it. I'm crazy with.
That was
Crazy with it.
You should go buy some lotto tickets like right now.
I would if it was not past midnight here.
Yeah, I got some late night viewing for everybody at home. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this matchup goes. I haven't ever really seen Control Hunter against Face Warrior. It's sort of the exact opposite of what you'd expect seeing a Hunter and a Warrior play each other.
yeah, I don't know. I assume I've run into this situation once or twice before, but I can't say it was memorable. Just looking at the lists, at least finally I'm looking at these taunts and seeing some value there. I mean, one of the things with Aggro Warrior is usually you're not like flooding the board with tons of minions. You might have like 1 or 2 on at a time, and it doesn't do this great job of securing the board. And this Hunter deck actually does a pretty good job at dealing with only 1 or 2 minions on the board. Stuff like Deadly Shot, if you can predict your misdirects. Yeah, or just being able to block with taunts. So on inspection, I feel like the Hunter's in a pretty good spot, but it's anyone's guess.
Yeah, having all those taunts really is a good thing from the Hunter player. But at the same time, there's an ooze in hand. And Hunter doesn't have any way to heal. So if they kind of falter here, and I think he was planning to coin double Senjin on 3. Didn't really have a good way to do that. Now we're seeing just a lot of damage coming in. Wolf Rider in hand.
You kind of have to swing into the 4/3, I think.
That's bringing us down to 11.
It's rough. You might be able to stabilize behind. You can next turn. You can like knife juggler, coin, Senjin, and follow that up with a Sunwalker. Maybe it's enough.
Explosive here would be good. I wonder if we'll see the ooze. I think it's. Well, you're worried mostly about explosive trap here, so probably don't want to play the ooze right now.
I think the unfortunate part here for Labore, like you said, no heals, but up against 2 Mortal Strikes. Like, as soon as one of those is drawn, it doesn't matter how many taunts you've got down.
Yeah. Point. You're a pretty serious clock against a dude that cancels out your hero power.
Yeah, a little bit of a operation. Don't get Mortal Striked. All about that.
Mission failed.
Yeah. Time for a debrief. Alright, nicely played though. And really, kind of the strength of bringing aggro decks to anything is if your opponent falters, really doesn't matter how much they counter your deck. You just go face and just kind of kill them before they get their engine rolling.
Yeah, kind of a reason why I like the more spell and trap heavy control hunter deck over the more minion heavy, because with more minions you don't always have the best answers to an aggressive start from your opponent. So you saw there, like, he had so much defense in his hand. He had double Senjin and Sunwalker, and it just wasn't enough. He couldn't stabilize in time.
Yeah. Got the wrong hero power for the job.
Imagine a heal 2 health hero power. That class must be crazy.
Yeah. That would be like so broken if they put it in the game. I've never seen a class do something like that in Classic.
I don't know if you guys remember, way back when there was some like AMA or something where they were asking Blizzard developers about balance stuff, like, yeah, either when the game first came out or shortly after. And people were asking about, Priest hero power versus Warlock's hero power. How can you possibly justify it? And the answer they gave was like, well, there's some cases where Priest's hero power is really good, like late in the game when, I gotta heal a couple health or whatever. And there's some cases where the Warlock hero power is really bad, because you don't want to take 2 damage. So, I don't know, seems pretty balanced.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Warlock hero power is a little bit unbalanced, I would say.
That's a pretty strong one.
Oh, it's crazy good, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the only hero power that's playable in Standard.
Well, yeah, and so much of what they turned Hearthstone into even worked so well with it. Like, I haven't followed it through every expansion, but, with the release of cards like Antique Healbot and Reno, it's like, who cares if I take 2 damage ever?
Yeah. Just who cares if I get 2 for 1 on every play? You know, I press the hero power and eventually I get 1 for 1 and win.
Yeah.
Alright, so we got the infamous Worgen Warrior here. I'm not sure if this is a good matchup. Usually the only thing that brings you down is Worgen Warrior against somebody without armor is a lot of taunts.
Or dying, which this deck could potentially do.
Yeah, high main, no matter what warrior deck you're playing, is a very difficult card to deal with. You know, Pyromancer with some way to execute it, and then get 2 casts with like Commanding Shout. That's a kind of a pipe dream, but really the only way that you cleanly deal with that high main.
I'm really surprised he didn't swing with the weapon there. You know that Shieldmaster could be coming up. You've got Arcanite Reaper in hand.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
guess he
point.
didn't play it, but I would have thought that would be the play.
Yeah, I like that play too. Just you may have a turn like he prior to this turn only had Loot Order in hand. You don't really want to play Loot Order Hero Power right here. So yeah, thinking about the Arcanite Reaper that turn.
Here's our friend, the Fen Creeper.
The budget Sludge Belcher.
I mean, Sunwalker's already budget Sludge Belcher, right? Don't know if you need a
Yeah.
even more budget.
Alright, looking at a lot of hand. These are one of the things about Hunter in general is that, yeah, usually you're going to have a decent number of minions, and if you're playing one of these control or mid-range decks, sometimes you can end up with just a lot of stuff in your hand. And it's hard to make choices when a lot of your stuff costs the same. Going for a tracking first. See if he does Juggler Unleash.
I'm a little bit surprised he didn't take Leroy, but hard to say.
He's going to go for Buster Unleash. He wants to draw more.
Reasonable enough. He wants to get into those high mains, like you said.
Yeah.
Sunwalker's also really good.
Got taunts to play for just about the rest of the game. But Arcanite Reaper can be pretty decent at dealing with this stuff too. Still looking for a couple pieces of the combo here. Need a second copy of Rampage and Charge.
Yeah, the important one.
Yeah,
Charge.
yeah. They're down to 24 now. I wonder if Para's going to flip the switch and just go face at some point here, like real soon.
Pain speak to me.
Right. So I like this whirlwind.
There's the high man.
Kind of tricky to play it into this board. I might
Yeah.
take that Armor Smith first. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that move.
Okay, he's even going to stop the draw.
Reasonable. I think next
That was
turn's
nice.
probably a double shield master play, right?
Yeah. Right, that's not Charge.
If that was charge, I actually think that's game.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised how long it's taken to drop any of these taunts. I'm not sure it was really even necessary to do like Juggler or Animal Companion, because
Yeah.
they really don't end up doing all that much. If you just don't die here, it's like a free win.
I think he's trying to get out every value minion he can before he decides to swap over to playing taunts every turn.
I think you're right. I'm just not sure I understand it.
I would feel bad to lose to a warrior if I had a chance to play high main on whatever it was, 6 or 7.
I think it was turn 8, actually.
Yeah, I could play the deadly shot with it. But yeah, I mean, anytime you draw high main, it's like, if you can't play it on the board, you're in a pretty tough spot anyway.
Where's the combo?
Yeah, actually, you know, explosive, if the weapon isn't equipped, explosive can really hurt here. Right? If you play Shield Master and explosive, that worgen isn't getting through. Oh, I guess he's got buffs.
Well, no, with double rampage, yes.
Yeah, with rampage, sure. Misdirect is really what he needs. But even so, you're probably a little worried here that this is a misdirection. You don't want to poop yourself in the face for that much damage and lose your combo.
I think that's what this is, bluffing misdirect.
Yeah.
Well, looks like he... Okay.
Yeah, the bluff works.
Question is, doesn't matter.
Well, if he draws a misdirect, I think it would. Does not draw a misdirect.
You can get a couple knives going, but I don't know if it's enough. I think using the Hunter's Mark here a little bit more. Well, I guess this still could be misdirect. He wants to clear the board.
It's kind of an awkward knife there, but still.
2 and 3 knife here. If it hits a minion, then he's in a good spot.
Yeah.
If not, then he is in a very bad spot, actually.
Okay. Well, with no weapon in
isn't
hand,
it?
it's still hard to get through that taunt. You just, yeah. As long as Huffer runs into a minion, I think he's good. I would definitely play the Shield Master here. Oh, man.
Oh man, the punish.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, like I guess this is what I don't quite understand the explosive. Yeah, like sure it deals with the board, but
Yeah, you're worried about the worgen, not the board, right?
yeah. So it's like I don't know, it just seems very counterintuitive to me. One, to wait that long on the taunts, but as well if you're running all these taunts, why not play it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it was just a misplay not playing this engine. I think he was maybe trying to potentially set up a lethal, but I don't think he needs to. I think
No.
like once he gets that last taunt down, like he's seen both executes, he's seen all the weapons. How does the taunt ever get killed other than just using worgen or using combo pieces?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that bumps it up to 10 wins for Para. She'll leave
Is that
what?
10?
That is 10. Which means he needs 2 more. Where's that gonna come from?
I believe it's Control Druid and let's just say
Control
Warrior.
Druid
to
and
be
Control
safe.
Warrior. It is Control Warrior, I believe.
Yes.
Now it might be this Hunter deck. It's like, oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Let the hunt begin. I must protect.
Yeah, on the spreadsheet, Para's decks are on the top, but
Yeah.
in the game, Para's on the bottom. I also did that.
Alright, well, this Hunter deck getting another chance to shine. Now, I
Should
think
be good against Druid, right? Got to have good shots.
I don't think so. So I think it's got some tools that are real nice, right? Like the Hunter's Marks, the Deadly Shots. It's great. But I don't know how he kills the Druid, especially with it being so taunt heavy and, these taunts just being weaker than the taunts that are going to be coming from the Druid. Druid can heal if things get desperate. They can infinitely draw, it feels like. I don't know. I think this is going to be a really, really tough one for the Hunter.
Maybe some of the normal mid-range Hunter tools can definitely be tricky. I will say that without a combo that Para's playing, it does allow a little leeway to let your opponent go wide as the Druid and then get a massive unleash off. If you get 2 Hunter's Marks with an unleash on like 4 minions, that can feel like you probably win the game with a buzzard.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, this double wrath play is very good.
Yeah. I'm going to innervate too.
It doesn't really change his next play. Labore's got to find some way to deal with this board, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you never want to let them run too far out of control if you are relying on 2 deadly shots in hand here. But Harvest Golem really, really good against deadly shot. There was no good early way to remove this. Yeah, this feels bad. I think I suppose you knock off this 3/3, but usually you'd like this as your primary draw engine.
Yeah, he's just really hoping that Par doesn't have anything big to play next turn.
Yeah.
We know it does.
Yeah, and misdirection on Thalnos isn't exactly what you want here either. It feels painful, but you might just have to hero power pass there or play green skin.
You can't even guarantee with the deadly shots either, because it could hit the Harvest Golem twice.
Yeah. Now getting the Hunter's Mark off the top.
Does feel like you should go for the 50-50. Boy, that's big.
Easy enough. Of course, then he innervates scenarios.
Gosh, yeah.
I was gonna say you could pyro like double innervate scenarios to buff or something ridiculous.
This is pretty strong.
Well, no, he couldn't, because the
pyro
innervate
would
would
kill
kill the
this guy.
pyros. Yeah, that'd be a little problematic. Well, he could innervate first and then play pyro and then innervate scenarios.
Right.
Oh, what do we got? May or may not have entirely forgotten about my Druid. Hence only queuing Hunter and Paladin. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Everybody likes watching Hunters. They just don't like playing against them.
Would you ever consider like innervate hero power there?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe there's
Push as much
situations where,
damage as you can.
yeah. There you got a lot of stuff coming down here. Oh wow. It's a pretty nice deadly shot. I guess anything is a good deadly shot target here. You just wish you had 3 deadly shots. Tough board to deal with.
I don't even know.
I feel that's very well said. I don't even know what to say. It's just, well, this sucks.
Hey, a rough one.
Yeah. Alright, swipe's pretty good. Now you use the double innervate on the Ancient of War.
Actually, now you
just win.
face twice.
I mean, you could still do
You
it.
gotta do it in style,
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. 1 faded deck left. What is it? I think it's Control Warrior. From Par here.
Can Labore
Sounds
beat
right.
Control Warrior 9 times in a row?
I don't know. Maybe there's
Buckle up. Hey, we're only just beginning.
maybe there's some world where if he can play for long enough, his opponent will just fall asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a Shaman game. He's got 2 Druid games. He could have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, buckle up, folks. We're in for a long one.
Paladin's pretty good sometimes.
I like that. Just the idea that if this actually did happen, everyone watching live is gonna be like, haha, yeah, that's funny. But there could be people on YouTube who are like halfway through the video right now.
Yeah, like, wait, why is there 2 hours left?
Feel the power of the wild world.
That's why we've got a spreadsheet with the deck lists on it.
Yeah.
Well, we get to see the Druid now. Combo Druid against Control Warrior. Keeping a shield block in the opening hand, maybe looking for a shield slam.
That's the only thing I can think of. Seems like a really weird keep otherwise.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of great removal against Druid minions, so maybe hoping for it. Does not get it.
Yeah, you want to have some way to remove like the early Yeti if it comes out. Well, there's the Yeti. No way to get it out, though. So like this has been a miserable control warrior matchup since the dawn of time, basically. Is there anything that Per can do to make things a little bit better off for himself, do you think?
I mean, I like the idea of actually keeping that shield block and going for the early fiery war axe. I feel like times where I have success against the druid is where somehow I'm able to take over the board early. Kind of like you said, warrior can be proactive if things go right. And so I feel like taking these kind of long shot risks, you're not going to win playing safe. Yeah, and you can see already providing a lot of value. You know, if you just hero power and try to get into those later minions, I just don't think you make it. So, yeah, roll the dice, gamble. That would be my advice.
Yeah, you definitely do have to play more aggressive. Or maybe not. Maybe aggressive isn't the right word, but you have to play more proactive in this matchup. For sure.
Now that's interesting. Tossing down a taunt versus a warrior. Oftentimes you're going to see chargers anyway, but knowing that Para runs the Black Knight as well, with coin in hand.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. Really good for the warrior, drawing double shield slam, double shield block, and this has this execute whirlwind in hand.
Yeah, things are really just lined up, and there weren't those early wild growth. The Innervate came at an okay time, but not the ideal time.
I think this is looking a little rough. We'll see what these next few draws have in store. Yeah, a bit of a dead hand and no Ancient of Lore to refill it.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, I'm sure you'd want to blast with the Keeper there, but you know the silence is just too valuable against stuff like Cairn and Sylvanas.
Hey, speak to me.
I wouldn't be surprised if he uses silence here on this guy. Acolyte.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, good news. There is one Ancient of Lore. Yeah, with no BGH, this Ragnaros is going to cause some trouble, especially if it hits the minion. Looks like he's not going to go for it just yet. He's actually just going to go for maximum card draw here from his Acolyte.
Yeah, which is pretty reasonable, but I think you're absolutely right. This rag, like, I know I'm always expecting BGH to come out from my opponent, but yeah, knowing that it's not even a potential threat in the deck just makes it, like, absolutely amazing in this matchup.
Yeah, he might actually, might need to find like a combo or something to clear Rag when it comes down. Looks like not going for it just yet is Para.
No, I think you're sensing some weakness out of your opponent here, and it's probably a good time to just secure the board. You got plenty of armor. Rag is coming down. What really threatens right now? I guess you're kind of worried about the combo trading into him. I would have liked to see Core Howl on 7, I think. It's nice to get a couple minions out of hand, but those big drops, you know, you can't play anything else in the same turn. So getting Core Howl on at 7, just saying I'm going to control the board forever, might have been good. Interesting
that he didn't actually play the card the Wild Growth gives you, the excess mana.
Yeah, looking for Pyro maybe with it. Is this
No,
the one?
no,
he's not playing the Pyro deck.
No, yeah, I'm not sure what the consideration is there.
Yeah,
Manipulating RNG, that's gotta be it.
He's got the combo in hand if he wants to try clearing with that.
I think it might be you might play the Force but not the Roar here. course, then you don't have a good way to kill Rag coming up. This is really awkward.
It is awkward, but you might be right. It's still
You
because
could
you really
use
don't get a lot of
Druid
value
bot
out of the
maybe.
roar.
I suppose running Druid of the Claw in and then using Keeper to clear, but again, not exactly the spot you want to be in.
I must
Honestly,
save-
healing for 8 wasn't the most unreasonable play ever.
Yeah.
Definitely risky, but
And it's a
Could be
tough
an
spot
option.
too. Anytime you're silencing Grom instead of removing
Where
him.
shall I strike?
See if he charges it. Nope.
mm,
Well, Gorhal's going to line up really nicely with this. And now we definitely have some lethal options here on the board.
5, 11,
11,
19.
yeah,
That Rag isn't going to do very much. From
Very
Labore.
if it hits face, that's it.
Well, not necessarily.
I must safeguard.
I think so. Yeah, if he plays Rag and it hits face, then it's 19 face. I think this
Well, then
is-
Para has to win the 50-50 to hit for his Rag to hit face. If Labore plays his.
yeah,
Labore
yeah,
Sangre.
yeah, I see, yeah.
The Earth Mother.
Yeah.
Karen's another really tough card to deal with here. Just played the Keeper, lacking the silence.
Oof,
I think now
it's bait.
it's rough.
Yeah,
It's like, what
That's
else do you do? Like, Ragnaros is awful on this board.
yeah. You don't really want to play to heal your own face, but you're definitely worried about Grom Taskmaster here too. Potentially, I guess you didn't see it last turn, so.
Oh, well,
Well,
they
he
already
played
ran
the
the
Grom.
Grom out.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I mean, 8 cards left in the deck. Soon to be 7.
None.
I don't know, I probably knew it was a risk and just decided to take the chance. Because, yeah, like you said, everything else is just so bad.
It's probably okay at this point to accept that Force of Nature Savage Roar isn't going to kill your opponent at 44 HP. I think that might have been reasonable, maybe a turn earlier before that Karen came down.
I don't think there's a line here that prevents him from dying.
No, I don't think so either.
Like, even best case Rag doesn't even do that much. It hits one of the 4 attack minions that isn't Cairn, and then that's still much more damage than is necessary coming in.
Yeah.
Small misplay not hitting the Armor Smith first, but doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it was definitely that small misplay that it's just like, never
Made
mind.
the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's 12 wins. Did not go the crazy distance that I thought it might.
Yeah, picking up a lot of wins there with just good solid play. Was impressed to see the Control Warrior into the Druid there. I mean, there are definitely some lucky draws with the shield block, shield slam, but part of that was on account of the mulligan choice to keep shield block in the opening hand and just kind of gamble on it, and it really paid off. He drew into both of them and just ended up being able to win the board there. So really impressive play out of Para.
Yeah, that made a difference. Obviously, the choice to run Black Knight in general, one of your best tools against a Druid running those big taunts. Just such a huge tempo swing. Of course, you know what Black Knight does.
Well, I will say well played by both players. I know that Labore brought some pretty crazy decks there, so it was cool to see him having fun and not taking this super duper seriously, just trying to show off some fun stuff. So kudos to both players, and once again, great sportsmanship from both, getting this all put together and being so cool about any rule changes or anything that we kind of decided on there. So
Yeah.
Good match overall.
Yeah, no, very well said. Echo that same thing. Definitely appreciate the players. Thank you both for casting and yeah, helping carry this thing along. And yeah, hopefully we see some more people jump on this idea. I think we'd all be more than happy to cast some of those games as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that's interested in playing one of these show matches, just holler at any one of us, anybody with the green title in Discord, and we'd be happy to try and set something up for you.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the end. Bye. See ya. Stream.